was just telling them what my interpretation of this is. Is like probably this probably looks like what Patachitra drafts look like in my head.
Hi, I'm Ranjana Steinruecke, the director of Galerie Mirchandani Steinruecke.
My name is Saira Khanna. I'm the co-founder of Kalakaar Art Salon.
Hi, I'm Aditya Krishnamurthy.
Hi, my name is Supriya Karmakar. I'm an artist and an art educator from Kolkata.
Hi, my name is Shaili Mehta.
Hi, I'm Anirudh. So I'm primarily a sculptor, but of late I've kind of been sort of diving into oil painting as well. So in the works that you see behind me, what I was trying to sort of look at were these exhibition catalogs that are created for trade fairs, particularly fairs for the buying and selling of stone slabs. And I came across these two in the catalog of some company that's based in Italy, and what sort of stood out to me was how these two slabs were marketed. So the work on the left that you see is called Star Galaxy, and the work on the right that you see is called Moon Desert. And the titles of the works are taken directly from the titles of the slabs. And anyway, for a long time I've been looking at the relationship between stone and painting, the historical ties that they've had. So I just kind of wanted to see how that interest of mine could translate when I looked at something like an exhibition catalog.
This particular show is called Intimate Gestures. It's a show where we're showing paperworks by modern masters as well as senior contemporary artists. So usually what happens is that, paper becomes a place where people are sketching, or like the first thing people are doing before they start making, their canvases. But that actually doesn't mean that it's the end. So like, why not just do a show on paperworks? That is a beautiful medium to have. Like in that, you have felt tips, watercolors, ink, sketch pens, you have, the sky's the limit, in terms of even playing around with papers. The room which I'm actually standing in is a Sousa room. We've particularly kept, paperworks by Sousa from the periods of the 1950s going on to the 1960s, which were the peak of his career. So we've got lovely, beautiful heads by Sousa. We've got a head here as well. We've got a landscape work. We've got crosshatch work. So yeah, that's this room. We've got a room which has Hussain paperworks. We've got a booth which has Shakti Burman paperworks. We've got Ganesh Pines. We've got Madhi Parik's. We've got Ramachandran works. We've also got etchings by Anupam Sood. We've also got paperworks by Sohan Kadri. We've got a full wall of a full sketchbook by Lakshmagot. So there are 18 works which are beautiful. They're from the 1980s.
At the center of my practice is an intimate engagement and exploration of time, wherein the measure of time, from my perspective, is what allows us to give time meaning, both as an independent entity, but also in terms of our own lived experience of time. This particular body of work started with a commission way back in 2018, where I was thinking about the idea of sunrise and sunset, and at the same time my wife happened to be pregnant with my daughter. As things happen, I also happened to be reading a book which talked about circadian rhythms and the biological clock, which then informed my idea of the 24-hour cycle, which led me to sort of discover for myself that how measure informs meaning for me. And after that first commission that I made back in 2018, there was a pause of almost about 2 years, and I came back to it in COVID, which I think was a period of a sort of phase in which I think every one of us had a sort of confrontation with time. I think time and our awareness of its passage became very heightened and acute. And that sort of instigated me to sort of dig deeper and actually commit to this idea of the measure of time and build this entire body of work from then. So it's been since about 2021, it's been like head down and just build and build and build.
So this is titled Residue. The work is part of a larger series where I'm drawing parallels between water ecologies and the female body. And so over here as well, you can see that this is basically kelp and seaweed that they are immersed in. So it's kind of like a counter narrative to the usual narratives that you see about sea monsters, who are usually these female demonesses. But over here, they are portrayed in a gentle, vulnerable, but yet quite powerful form. And they're immersed in the seaweed as if they are in kin with the seaweed, as if they are friends and in companionship with each other, but also the kelp and the seaweed. So that's kind of like a tangent in my work that I'm exploring, where it's about care and kinship between human beings and the other being everything, including animals, plants, other ecologies.
So we're here in the solo exhibition of Sangram Majumdar. It's called Bad Actors, and this is the first time he has a solo show in Delhi. This is an artist who was born in Calcutta, and as a teenager he moved to the US. So you see a lot of references from Bengal, the Durga Puja, and a lot of references to Indian mythology and architecture, and but at the same time you see a very free and dynamic approach to painting, a kind of restructuring of motives, which creates this very psychologically charged atmosphere. He's quite a colorist, and then it's a language of its own.
My practice is based on drawing. So I used lines to make the impression of fabric. तो फैब्रिक के थ्रू कैसे हम लोग एक सवाल क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, एक हाउ कैन वी आस्क सम क्वेश्चंस अबाउट द सोशियो पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज, लाइक इफ आई टॉक अबाउट दिस वन, लाइक दिस इज द गामछा. सो आई हैव पेंटेड दिस विद सिंगल लाइन्स, विद सिंगल ड्राइंग्स. सो यहाँ पे लाइक गामछा को कैसे हम लोग रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं, गामछा के थ्रू कैसे सोसाइटी में कैसे सवाल कर सकते हैं. इट टॉक्स अबाउट लोअर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली, अ कास्ट, अ सोशल स्ट्रक्चर. I have started this artwork from my childhood memories actually. Basically, my father used to tell me like, we are the middle class family. We don't use any towel. We use only gamchas. So from that point of view, I started to work with the gamchas. And then later on, I work with so many, fabrics. How it creates the dialogues within our society. Through the fabrics, I can make the questions about the identification through the fabrics. Like suppose the motifs of any saris, it talks about so many points. I use so many motifs from Baluchori saris and some chamba rumal stitches and some katha stitches. So I painted that. I don't use any stitch. There is a contradiction. I use only paint. I don't use any stitch. So it is my process, it is my point of view that it gives me a feeling that कैसे मेरा artwork, मेरा एक journey है.
We want people to sort of dwell around art, and so I think the goal for me for this exhibition would be explore and enjoy the artworks, but come back to sort of take it all in again.
I think what I would like the viewer to do is be able to pause in front of the works. I think the works in a sense they demand a certain form of engagement and require you to sort of give it the time, no pun intended. I think if one does that, I think it does lead to a certain sort of one's own relatability with the work. And it allows them to sort of appreciate it from their own individual perspective and what time has meant to them in the manner in which they have experienced it.